I became part of the lunch team well, actually I met a girl who I worked with, and she had just moved here from Wisconsin, and she said she was here to start a church plant, and it's like, okay, that's cool. You know, she was my first Christian coworker, and it was sort of interesting, so I just kept going.
I actually learned about Middletree Church when I was in the basement of National Community Church. I'd accepted a one-year internship there in their protege program, and Ed Schmidgall came down one day. Ed Schmidgall is the uncle of both Joel Schmidgall, the executive pastor at National Community Church, and the uncle of Brian Schmidgall, the lead pastor here at Middletree Church. He just very passively mentioned that, hey, I've got a cousin who's launching a church in St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, I grew up in St. Louis. I lived here till I was about 18 and went to college and graduate school. And my initial thought was, I'm not going. I love Washington, D.C. Why would I ever want to move? Good luck.
And said, hey, I heard you're launching a church. If we ended up in St. Louis, Missouri, how can we help?
Before Middletree, we were looking for a church. We had checked out several and just were not happy with the experience or didn't find it relevant to what we needed or thought was helpful.
Yeah, for me, it was always, in growing up Catholic, it was an obligation. You know, Sunday you have to go. And Middletree is like not an obligation. It's someplace we want to go. And so I've never before
wanted to go to church.
Wanted to go to church. Looked forward to going to church. Right. They had a second service on Thursday nights, I'd be there.
I don't really have many Christian friends in St. Louis, and so the fact that I could go somewhere and be around Christians, even in a small group where I had to work, kind of was still something different and something refreshing. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air in a strange way.
Part of the reason I was actually willing to entertain the idea of moving to St. Louis, Missouri is there was a level of trust that I had with Brian Schmidgall up front. I was on the phone with him. My fear was that there was this pastor who was living in West County and trying to do an inner city ministry and wasn't taking any risks himself with his personal life. But the first thing he tells me is like, no, I've been living in North City for 2 years. I bought a house there. My family is there.
Pastor Brian lives a few blocks away. He decided that him and his family should live there instead of moving out, and everyone else is trying to move out of there. And he's trying to do something different that no one's done before. So it's something new. Who knows what will happen? But it's interesting to see where to go. So who am I being a part of it?
I don't even know how many bags of food to hand out to families who can't afford to have a good Thanksgiving. We packed up canned goods, some boxed goods, and some turkeys and distribute them tomorrow morning. Had a good turnout from the church, and this is good stuff. This is good stuff. This is what it's all about.
I think what this past year has taught me is just how important church is. You know, before that I've thought it's like an individual thing, and now I'm realizing the more the body of Christ relates with each other and the more they reach out, the more hands they have, the more feet they have, the more eyes, the more heart. I don't know, God just works through churches in a different way than he works through individuals sometimes.
One of the things that we've noticed across the board, it's not just a north or south problem, is the breakdown of a family and what that does to children and to the parents and the far-reaching implications that can have. So something, as the director of family ministries, that I really wanted to work on was finding a way to equip parents to be able to have conversations with their children about what they learned in Sunday school, or maybe what the parents would have learned at the sermon later in the week. So that was definitely something that was high on my priority list.
No, it gives me hope in church again, that can be the body, that and the vessel that brings people in and shows them what their gifts are, what their spiritual gifts are, what their talents are, what they can be using in the world, and equips them to do that and to go out and to disciple others. And so I think that that's something really powerful that's happened in my life, and that was through Middletree.